Guys, we are in December, the month of listening to Michael Buble and watching your favourite Christmas movies whilst having mulled wine in the morning because technically you are burning off the alcohol. And what better way to kick off the season of joy and wonder with a review of
I saw something in the dark.
Oh no. His House is a directorial debut from Remi Weekes, and the story Remi constructed with fellow screenwriter Felicity and Tony Venebals is about a husband and wife who escape from South Sudan to England for a better life. Our couple are called Bol and Rial Majur, played by Sope Dirisu and Wunmi Mosaku, and they inherit a home to call their own, but what they do not know is they aren't the only ones living there. Spoiler warning ahead. A few weeks back I talked about Ghosts of War, a horror movie that inhabits its story within a war setting. I said that I commend that change of scenery for horror because it gives the genre a new angle, and 3 weeks later, here I am talking about another horror movie with a twist. And this movie's twist lies within the characters of Bol and Rial, because they are refugees who have escaped war-torn Sudan for the safety of England. This makes the story more interesting because not only are they foreigners in their new country of England, but also foreigners within their own walls. Because within the walls of their home is a little girl that we are supposed to believe is their dead daughter they lost while crossing the sea. Their daughter torments the father of her death, leaving the mother fearful that they have been cursed and must leave to get back to Sudan, otherwise they will be tormented for life. That concept of the couple being foreigners trying to get used to their current settings of England and trying to ward off spirits in their home had a purpose I respect, but I felt there was a missed opportunity to tell two compelling stories instead of one. There is a story there that wasn't told, instead favouring the more personal story of a refugee's struggle, the latter which I'll get to later on, because I want to discuss the missed opportunity this movie had. There were only small moments in which you felt the couple being marginalised for being different within their community, and I thought that was a missed opportunity for the film to really delve deeper within the outcast theme. Foreigners coming into a new country is difficult because they have to adapt to a different culture. Imagine that coupled with your house also being haunted. The fear of being the outcast would have played powerfully in this type of story. That is because Bol and Rial have been given a temporary stay in England which has the potential to be permanent depending if they follow the rules, act normal and do not disturb the peace. With the added stress of spirits in their house, there was a story hidden there that could have played nicely with the mental psychology of dealing with that issue. There could have been scenes when neighbours complain about noise and disruption because they believe Bol and Rial are going crazy, meaning their stay in England could be under threat, adding more layers and obstacles for our characters. But that type of story never materialised. There were moments like when Rial was getting lost in her neighbourhood. That scene played out like the spirits were playing mind tricks on her, but in the end there was no payoff. Or when their neighbour keeps watching them. That neighbour acted like she knew the house was haunted. However, that story never goes anywhere. His House plays less like a horror and more like a statement on how refugees are treated. Trying to play both sides of horror and drama meant that the horror aspect of the movie fell slightly flat. To be fair to the movie, it leans more on the side of the refugee story than the horror side, and it does convey a message clearly to the audience. What this movie does well is it puts you, the audience, in the shoes of the father, Bol. His desperation to get his wife to safety and out of the country made him do an act that cannot be forgiven. He took someone else's child so himself and his wife would get priority to leave their town. And then when out on sea and the boat topples, he left that child to drown, instead just saving his wife. And that guilt plays on him and is represented by the spirits of the dead who drowned at sea. It feels more like he has PTSD than evil spirits in his home. So when I say that this movie succeeds in telling a story more about the struggles of a refugee than a horror, it is because it puts you right there with Bol when he made that decision to take a child. That one scene puts in perspective the very hard decisions refugees make just to get to safety. Bol made a very difficult choice because in his mind he was forced to. It was either stay and potentially be killed or take this child and have a chance for safety. I like that story, and connected with horror, it puts PTSD into visual context, what it must feel like to relive moments you want to forget and that fear it brings you. I still think the outsider who struggles to fit in within a different culture, added with a haunted house making life that more difficult, was a missed opportunity, but the main story that I think Remi Weekes tells is about the struggles refugees face in order to get to somewhere safe and how that affects them. In the end, his house plays in the world of horror without ever committing to it. The focus of the movie is to tell the story of how refugees struggle with the idea of how they get to a safer place, and how many may feel guilt about leaving their loved ones behind. That is why the movie ends with Bol and Rial's town people crowded around them, because those people who couldn't make it live on through Bol and Rial. People like Bol and Rial bring a bit of their culture to wherever they go, so the ones left behind live on in spirit.